What is a signal? Whenever you are in traffic, you see signal. The train runs according to the signals. So these are the signals which you see everywhere. For example, if this is your finger and you do it like this hand movement, or the another movement which shows yes or no. So you are aware that these kind of signals are there in normal world, in environment. People generally do this. So this is a way of communication. A signal, this is a term which has evolved from Latin word signalis. Signalis. Okay. A signal is a noticeable modification of the environment produced for conversation, to communicate. You see these two fingers and hands, these are just the noticeable modification. Even if some person doesn't speak, with these hand gesture you will understand what they are trying to communicate. So you can say a signal is a gesture or a message that people use to converse or to communicate with each other. That is, the other person can understand what signal you are giving. And this signal is not only limited to conversation. There are many people, they communicate either by face-to-face conversation, through gesture, body gesture, face gesture, and also with telephone calls. So this telephone call, here we start with communication, the signal in communication. Because this woman is talking on a phone, she is not directly talking, but whatever she is speaking is going through this wire, through communication channel, and then she is able to communicate. The other person is able to understand. So the simplest definition is, a signal is any kind of physical quantity that conveys information. This boy is speaking, or say shouting, or say singing. Now whatever he is doing, the audio can be converted into a signal which can have information and that can be transferred. So the most important thing is it can convey the information. So this is the sound he is producing, and the other part which you see here is actually the conveying of information. In digital communication, in analog communication, you will see all those kind of waveforms. That is nothing but conveying of information using a physical quantity. So information converted into an electrical form which is suitable for transmission is called a signal. That is, the sound which a boy is producing may not be able to go through a wire. It has to be made such that it goes through a wire. But if you are communicating with this kid, you will be able to understand whether he is shouting, whether he is singing. So information has to be converted into some form, mostly the electrical form, to convey the information. Now coming to electronics and telecommunication, signal refers to any time varying voltage. Now this is very important. What is time varying voltage? Or a current or an electromagnetic wave that carries the information, that carries your gesture, that carries your message. Okay, what does it mean, time varying voltage? That means, see, before going to that, this is just sine theta and cos theta. You know that sine 0 is 0, sine 1 is sine 90 is 1. You know all these values. For every 360 degree, means from 0 to 360 degree, sine has some value. Now if you start plotting it, there will be a waveform form. Okay, right now it is not a single, it is just a waveform. Until it conveys some information, it is not a signal. Okay, now make a graph. On the x-axis you are saying time. On other axis, that is y-axis, that is a function of time. It can be voltage, it can be current. So this is called the time varying voltage. So the graph between these two will be representing the actual signal. Okay, So this what you see here is not information. This is just a sine and cos waveform. Actually, the signals, analog signals, are like this only. So a signal is anything that is visible, audible, observable, or measurable with help of some machine. If you're actually working in electronics fields, you're aware that you use oscilloscope, and that oscilloscope is for measuring these signals only. When somebody speaks, you are able to hear, so it is audible. Now you see here, this mobile, we always say, oh, I'm not getting the tower, I'm not getting the, all these normal conversations are there. But you should say, I'm not getting the signal. Actually, the signal includes the speech, the audio, light, radio, TV, radar, supersonic, temperature, ECG, EEG, etc. Now this heart in your body is also producing some signal, and with certain sensors kept on your body, you can see different waveforms, and that waveforms are nothing but signal produced by your heart. So there are two types of signal in digital electronics or telecommunication, and these two are analog and digital. See, this is a waveform being formed. Normally we generally put a sine waveform for our analog signals. Okay, x-axis you see this time, the y-axis is saying voltage. Now this blue line is actually a continuous variation of current or voltage, and this is called as the analog signal. Now when you take the samples out of it, what is the highest, what is the lowest if you take, or in between you take, that is whole process, sampling, quantization, etc. So from analog signal, if you take the samples, you can make a digital signal. So digital signals are discrete values. They are non-continuous values. That is, they can only have two values, either 0 or 1. And these are nothing but the voltage. In analog also, and in this digital also, they are only voltages. So signal is nothing else than a variation of voltage or any other physical entity over time. This is just an example I am showing you of the graph from voltage and time.